Hello, everyone. Welcome. As you hop on, do me a favor and drop hashtag live in the comments just to be sure everyone can hear me. I'm actually using my cell phone, and normally I would pop over to my cell phone and see if you can actually hear me. So I'm going to turn up the volume on Instagram. I don't know if it's going to let me do that. So if you're on Instagram, let me know if you can actually hear me. I would appreciate that. And I do want to welcome all of my listeners from YouTube, from Instagram, and LinkedIn. So I'm Twanna Carter, and I do appreciate you for being here today. And I am talking about, oh my gosh, how to get out of the wrong job. Now, I'm a career transition coach and I help high achieving professional women overcome that fear and the doubt and the anxiety that can come with switching to a new career. And I do that by helping them to recognize and communicate their unique value and by instilling a deep sense of belief in their own strengths and abilities so that they can confidently and courageously pursue success on their own terms and land the absolute job that's perfect for them. There isn't a perfect job, but we have jobs that are perfect for us, right? And so I'm going to take a look, see. I see someone responded on LinkedIn. Thank you very much. If you do have comments or questions, be sure to drop them in the comments box because I will be monitoring those throughout. So I have a Facebook user that says, I can hear you just fine. Thank you. Appreciate that, Lisa. Appreciate it. So without further ado, let's get started. So I know what it's like to be in the wrong job. Okay. So there I was. I had spent 4 years in college and I had an ROTC scholarship. So I trained for 4 years. I'm gonna see if I can turn on some more light there. There we go. Yes. I had trained for 4 years and there I was. I walked in, brand new second lieutenant in the army, and day two. Yes, that's right. Not day two, I realized that I'd made a oh crap mistake. This was not for me. I knew it. I remember I had turned around and I looked over my right shoulder. So this way was the way to stay in the army. This direction was the way I could walk and I could just leave. My brain was like, just walk away. At the time, I was mad, angry about something. And my brain was like, you don't have to take this. Nobody treats you like this. You can just leave. You can walk away right now. And I actually turned away from the direction of going and doing what I was supposed to do. And I looked back and I thought hard, and a couple of things zoomed through my mind. What are you going to tell your parents? They flew all the way back from Germany, 4 year graduation from college. They were there to pin on your second lieutenant bars. What are you going to tell them if you just walk away now? And so the thing that held me in a job that I knew I'd made a mistake, I knew I'd made a mistake, but the thing that held me there for 6.5 years was shame. Shame about what my family would say about me, shame of what my friends would say about me, and the embarrassment of having to show up like I don't have to wash dishes anymore for Wendy's because I wash dishes for Wendy's, and I don't have to work for Domino's Pizza because I delivered Domino's Pizza too. But the shame and embarrassment of how do I explain to them that I'm not a second lieutenant in the army because I quit. It was the wrong job. So I understand what it is when shame and fear roots you to a job that you don't like. So I want to talk about some ways to get around that today. Okay. So number one, why is the job a bad fit? Are you one of those people that you're the workhorse of the company? You can do it all, you do it all, everything that needs to be done, train all the new people, any new project comes up, you're doing it, you're in there and you're doing all this work for no extra pay, for no extra compensation, no awards, no time off. You're just the workhorse of the unit and you do it all. And it's expected for you to do it all now, but you don't get compensated for it. Maybe that's you. Or was this position a bait and switch? You interviewed, you were all excited about the job, And when you got there, they pulled a bait and switch on you. And now it's 2, 3, 5, 10 years later, and you're still trying to get to the original job that they promised you. But oh, just one more year, and we'll just one more year. Oh, this person came here, but the next time it'll be you. Maybe that's your thing, right? Or were you one of those people that you decided you would move to be with a mate, or the two of you decided you would relocate together so you could live in the same city, and then you broke up? And now you're somewhere you don't even want to be, in a job you no longer like. Maybe that's you. That's why it's a bad fit job. Okay. Or was it the fact that management changed? It was a wonderful job for the first 2, 5, 10 years, and then there was a management change, and then everything started to kind of go downhill after that. That can happen, right? Or was it the fact that the company's mission shifted? Right? It shifted over time. Maybe they rebranded, maybe they started, with new products and new projects, and they don't really fit the reason why you came, right? Don't really fit. Okay. Or was it the fact that you were voluntold that here is a new section, and you're voluntold this is the section you're leading now? You have a whole new team. Yeah, go forth and do great one of those things, wonderful things, right? Or maybe you shifted management to an entirely new location, another division, another section, and you're just not happy with any of that. Okay. Or were you like me? You were like all psyched up to get the job, and then all of a sudden it was like, what the absolute freak am I doing here? This is wrong, wrong, wrong. And you just feel stuck, not really knowing what to do. And then that, again, that sense of shame that's holding you into place. Or maybe it's something else. It's your personal life. You got a lot of stuff going on in your personal life, and it really is just bleeding into and interfering with the personal life, right? Anybody out there, one of these things, or maybe more than one of these things. One, are you the workhorse? Two, was it the bait and switch? Or three, did you break up with somebody and you already made the move? Or was it five, management change? Or was it um four was management change? Five is the mission change. Okay. Or six, were you voluntold, by the way, you have a new team, you're going to do this, you're going to do that? Or did you just make a mistake? It's just not what you wanted it, and you changed your mind. Or eight, is it personal things? If it's one of those things, just drop a thumbs up. Let me know that, yeah, this is my reason right here. This is why this job isn't right for me. Okay, whichever one it is, I'm going to check over. Okay, so Facebook user said the mission changed. Number five, the mission changed. And that's just such a bummer, because you're like all in, you're all motivated, and then that mission changes. You're like, I don't really, this does not do anything for me. It happens, right? It definitely happens. Okay. So, what I'm going to do next is share with you 5 steps to plot your way out of that wrong job, because this is, after all, why you're here. What are the 5 steps that you can do to plot your way out of the job? So, number one, do a deep dive into why this is the wrong job for you. Now, I gave you tons of reasons. I've already given you 8 that could, be the source of why this is a wrong job. But there are other things. Like, is it people? Is it policies? Or is it systems? Right? Is it people, policy, or systems? Right? Is there just somewhere at the job, someone at the job that every time you look at them, you see them, you hear their voice, your flesh just crawls because you don't like them? It could happen. That's a people thing, right? Or you have someone else at the job, anytime they talk and you see them, you got the eye roll, or the because you just don't like this person. Could be your supervisor, could be a co-worker, could be a manager, could be your supervisor, whoever it is, maybe an administrative clerk, but you just got the eye roll or the huffing and the sighing, and you know that this just isn't working. Maybe it's the policies that are unworkable. Maybe it's the workplace policies that no longer fit you. Maybe it's you're bored with your job, but you have to do your job according to the policies and procedures, but it's really boring, or you just know there's a better way you can do it, but nobody really listens to you to figure out what you think, what your ideas are, and what's a better way to be able to do it. Or do you hate the systems in which you work in? Again, there's a better way to do things than what you're doing, but hey, here's the systems, and this is how we do it, and we do it this way because we've always done it this way, and we don't need you new people in here telling us any different. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's the long hours. Maybe the hours are too early, too late, and maybe it's shifting over to that work life balance and you've lost the work life balance. Or it could be the commute, could be the long hours, it could be the wrong hours, or just stress and burnout, right? So we talked about people, policies, or systems. So drop a number one in the chat if you think it's the people, something with the people you're dealing with. You don't like your manager, you have a new manager, right? Or it's the secretary out front, the administrative clerk, whoever it is. Drop a number two if it's the policies that you're working on or that you just don't agree with. And this can really happen in the United States when we go from one administration to the other. Some of us just don't like the policies. Like, I don't like the policies anymore. Or you've just adopted new policies. And then drop a three if it's the systems you're working within and they feel like they're old, they're antiquated, and you just can't like break out and do things a new way that will, get you better customer service. So drop a one, two, or three, depending on if it's one, people, two, policies, three, systems. So I have a Facebook user. So Daphne gave me a thumb up. Thank you, Daphne. Then I have a Facebook user that says, well, maybe not mission, but the expectations and how change without really providing the proper infrastructure. Yes, that system, that piece of it. You have this new way of doing things, but no training, no change in expectations. Or I've been in those workplaces where we got a new way to do things. We had a new system and there was no training, but you're expected to perform at the same rate you were performing before. I don't care if it's a new system. That one right there. Absolutely. So I have a LinkedIn user that says number three. So it looks like some systems out there. So Daphne says number one is the people. I've definitely quit some jobs because of the people. A lot of times the boss, right? And a Facebook user says, right, lack of training. Yes, you get new systems, no training, but you're expected to still do what you used to do. And so Daphne says, yeah, and policies too. Yes, yes. When those policies change, I don't think the higher ups understand that as an employee, you are doing the policies because you believe in them. Now some folks do come to work and it doesn't matter, but some of us, we go to work because we believe in the policies. We believe in the people we serve, the customers we serve. We believe in the policies, and it can get irritating when those policies are off or those systems have changed, right? So really, when you're doing this deep dive, really dive in and figure that out. What's really bothering you the most? And I've got some folks who are like, yeah, it's one and two. Yeah. Or one, two, and three. That can happen. That's why you do that deep dive to figure out, is it people, policies, or systems? And then after all that, it's really now time for clear vision. So number two is visualize the job you want. Visualize the job that's perfect for you, not the perfect job, because there are no perfect jobs. There are perfect jobs for you. You know, visualize. Make sure that you're visualizing when you're doing a visualization, visualize in a forward direction. So here's what I mean by that. When I get my clients early on, the first thing I do is I have them tell me what their vision is for that career or their new position. Early on, I have them to do that because here's what they'll normally start off saying: I don't want to supervise people, or I don't want to supervise 40, 50 people in the world. I don't want to arrive at my job at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired of getting up 3, 4 in the morning. I don't want to be customer facing anymore. I'm done with that. Or I don't want to work for a micromanager. I don't want to work in a fast paced environment anymore. This stuff is crazy. I don't want to do that. Or I don't want to be bored in my job. Or I don't want to feel dismissed and unimportant. Or I don't want my work to feel meaningless. From those statements, can anybody see what the problem is? If you're visualizing, but this is what you told yourself you're visualizing, what's the problem with all of those statements? I'm going to take a few seconds and see who has figured out with all those statements. I don't want to work for a micromanager. I don't want to supervise 50 people. I don't want to be in a fast paced environment. I don't want to have to go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. What is wrong with each of those statements? If you talk about you visualizing the career that you want, what's wrong with those statements? Any takers out there? Any takers? Any takers? Figure out what's wrong with those statements. Well, number one, if you are visualizing the career that you want, you just listed all the things you don't want. You're not visualizing in a forward direction. In order for the brain to not do something, it's got to do it first and then not. So I don't want to supervise 50 people. Well, you got to supervise 50 people first. And then the brain tries to figure out how to not make you supervise 50 people. So when you're visualizing that new job, visualize in a forward direction. I want to supervise 4 people. Or if you're like me, I want to supervise 0 people. Hey, been there, right? I want to go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. I want to work a 9 to 5. That's a forward direction. It's a positive direction. I want to work for, a chill boss. I want to work for someone who understands me, who thinks I'm important, who treats their employees like gold, who understands their employees, who listens to their employees. See, those are all forward direction. Because oftentimes when I work with my ladies, they are visualizing the knots and you get stuck. And this is why you can change career after career after career, and you're always getting about the same thing because you're not visualizing what you want, you're visualizing what you don't want, and that's exactly what you get. That's how that works. Okay? So, any comments or question on that? How many of you have been typically visualizing in a negative direction? Facebook user, I want to work for trauma informed management. There you go. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Yes, whoever did that. Yes, 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 yes. I love it. Yes, that is exactly it. What do you want to do? And it makes a difference. It really does make a difference, right? All right. Any other questions or comments? And I am zooming through to see if I've gotten everybody. So yes, yes, yes. So now that's a visualization. That's step 2. And you're visualizing again in a forward positive direction. So step 3, you know what's wrong, people, policies, or system in step 1. You know that. Now in step 2, you visualize the first job. Step 3 is taking a look at, now that you know 1, what the issues are, 2, what the perfect job is for you. 3 is about, can you grow where you're planted? Right? Most career coaches are going to tell you. So I got a Facebook user says, I want to work for a nonprofit, but the salaries are low. So you got to figure out how to do that because it depends on what you're doing versus the salaries, right? Facebook user says a system that understands outcome based and versus performance based. Woo, knock on wood for that one. Been there many a times. Yes, thank you. So, step number 3 is, can you grow where you are planted? Most career coaches will tell you you don't always need a new job in a new organization. It's not always necessary. Sometimes you may find that you can actually grow where you're planted because now you realize what the issues are, you realize what the job is that you want. Can you make it happen with what you already have? Sometimes you might. If it's the people in your section, can you transfer to another division, to another site, to another, section? Can you transfer? See if you and your supervisor can come to an agreement. Do you need to change projects? I know I used to work for the VBA in out of Louisville, Kentucky, and they switched the supervisors switched sections that they managed. That's a way to keep people motivated. Sometimes, depending on the manager, some of us weren't that motivated, but some of the managers we were. We got different people and we liked them and we work for them. Sometimes you just need that change, right? Sometimes it's reassigning the projects and maybe, sitting down, depending on what type of supervisor you have, talk about your ideas. The policies say this, but if we did this way, I know it can work. Go and do the research, bring that research in to back you up, and let that go off the chain because sometimes you can affect change. You really can affect change by looking at the policies, bringing in the research to why those policies should change. Same thing with systems. Here's the way the system works. I've gone over here, I've seen this, right? You can change. Sometimes you can grow where you planted. So that new job may not be necessary because you can actually change and grow where you're planted, right? And I've done this. I've shifted from one section to another and it worked well, right? And sometimes I know you're like, I'm just done with it all, right? If that's you, I can't grow where I'm planted. I need to do something else. That's where step 4 comes in. You choose your next career move and take action, right? And that action is not take this job and shove it. You don't want to do that if you don't have a job lined up. That's not ever a good thing to do, right? Really, it isn't. There's some people who can. Some folks that tell you to keep a 6 months, salary in savings. Some people have that, so they are the one. I wouldn't say take this job and shove it, but I was like, give them a 2 week notice and resign, right? Be professional about it. But most of us can't do that because we got mortgage or apartment rent, cars, and mouths to feed, dogs and cats to feed, ourselves to feed, and all that good stuff. So you'll want to look at the job that you visualize. And step number 2, that's a good place to start. It's a great place to start. Now you also will need to look at potential employers for that particular job. Look at those employers. I like to tell my clients, look at those potential employers, go connect on LinkedIn with all the C-suite and HR managers, start following them, commenting on their stuff, read what they read, join the same groups that they're joining, and start networking. Because after you've identified the job you want, you've identified some potential, right, employers, you need to start networking. You really do. Network with the network you already have. You got to tell them, hey, by the way, I'm looking for a new job. And understand that some of you, this is like a little, oh, what do you do? Because you could be working for those vindictive employers or managers that when they find out you're leaving, they're like awful people. So do it, do it carefully and something that doesn't cause you any more stress than what you're already dealing with. But before you start applying for jobs, you need to do the networking first. It is always better to come as a warm network, a warm referral. In other words, somebody's worked at that company and they referred you, or a friend knows someone that works in that company and you've got referred in. That is always best instead of applying cold on job boards. Always find the warm lead. That is best. You can also do things like informational interviews. If you're going to do an informational interview, you know the job you want, do an informational interview with the person above that job, right? And then ask them how they got to where they were and how they, what they find challenging about the company, what do they love about the company, and all those types of things. And informational interviews are not for asking for jobs. They're just that. They're learning information. Those are information interviews are always also ways to expand your network. So when you do decide to apply for a job there, you at least know one person, the person you interviewed with, if not two, the person who got you that interview. But many times you can connect with folks on LinkedIn, chit chat back and forth with them, and they're very open to doing informational interviews. Informational interviews, for those of you wondering about those, they're what, 15, 25 minutes max interviews. Again, you're not asking for a job, you're just asking for an interview and information, but it's a wonderful way to increase and expand your network. Okay. And this is also because you decided to leave your job. It's not a time to do what we used to call in the military ROA, retire on active duty. It's not a time to do that. Um, no, you keep working. You put all efforts in and do your job to the best of your ability. Because here's one thing I know for sure: the world of work is very small, especially when you're talking career fields. You are more than likely to find someone from your job somewhere else. I've leapfrogged across people all my career that I never thought I'd see again in a job that I walked in working on. So you always want to try to lead professionally. I know it's hard for some of you because you just have vindictive workplaces. As soon as they get a whiff that you want to leave, they stop speaking to you, they cut you off, they give you the cold shoulder, and it's very stressful. In some cases, I tell my clients just take a 2 week leave and be gone instead of dealing with that stress. But I get it. Some of you don't have that leave to take. So do take care of yourself using that stress and self-care, because some folks are, woof, they're something else. They're truly something else, right? So those are my 4 steps, right, to plotting your way out of a job that you don't like. Number 1 is decide what it is you don't like about that job. Do a deep dive in it. The deep dive in it. Is it people, policies, or systems? Which one is it? Then number 2, visualize the job that you want and visualize in a forward direction. Now, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want that. That's negative. Visualize what you want. As one of the Facebook users says, I want to work for trauma informed management. I want a system that understands outcome based versus performance based. Those are positive outcomes. That's a positive direction, right? And then number three is see if you can grow where you're planted with the new knowledge that you got from step one and two. Sometimes you can't. And then there's four, choose the next move in your career journey and take action. Find that job, look at potential employers, start connecting to those employers, the employers, the C-suite, and the HR folks on LinkedIn. Follow them, join the groups that they're in, read their posts, comment, inform your network that you're now looking for another job. And if you're doing a 180-degree shift, your network needs to know that. So they are bringing the right jobs to you. You can also do things like informational interviews to get additional information. This is also a great time to hire a career coach to guide you along this place because it can be stressful, especially if you're in a vindictive workplace and if they get a hint, it's going to be heck to pay because they cut you off and they're so rude and mean to you, right? And be sure that you're evaluating your transferable skills that you can take with you. And career coaches are great about helping you to do that. And of course, you want to review and update your resume. Review, revise, and update that resume. Okay. And be sure that your network knows that you're looking for a job. And if it's a new job they don't know about, make sure they know that. So thank you very much for staying with me, hanging with me in there to the end. I just want to see if I have any questions or comments. Looking down there, I don't see any. So thank you for watching. Those of you that catch us on the replay, drop a hashtag replay and let me know that you caught it on the replay. Join me for the next time when I'll be talking about how to answer that pesky interview question. So tell me, why are you leaving your current job? That's not what you want to do. I'm going to give you some answers in some great ways, come up with some great ways of how to answer that question. Now, if you've listened today and you realize that, okay, I've got a comment. She says, I don't even know what resume looks like nowadays. See, that's why you hire a career coach because that's what they do. They do it all the time. And that's why, one thing is don't get stuck on resume formats. It doesn't really matter. Is if it's, art, is it block style, whatever. That stuff is not as important as what you put in the resume and is it linked to the job description in the position that you want. But again, great reason to hire a career coach because that's what they do, right? And if you're not sure if you want a career coach, you can actually find people who just will do your resumes for you and do an excellent job of doing that as well. As a career coach, I do both. I coach my ladies and I do the resume reviews and I help them give them tips and really teach them how to do resumes because I just feel like that's something everybody should know how to do, right? So thank you for your comments. If I don't have any more comments, I do want to say thank you for those of you who join me live. And again, thank you for those who catch me on a replay. And I will see you this same time next week.